ultimately an American citizen unless their passport is entitled to come back. So someone who's fought with ISIL with an American passport wants to come back, we will track them very carefully.
The fight continues against a phony Islamic State. Nations are joining the battle, and another innocent victim has been claimed in a brutal beheading. The war against the group calling itself ISIS or ISIL rages on, and a simple question has to be posed. Are we now at this moment any safer than we were a month ago, and have these bombs really been effective? For the answers, let us welcome back to MidPoint former CIA analyst and one who understands the various nuances of such a battle. Lisa Ruth joins us in studio. Always a pleasure to see you.
It's good to be here.
There's the flat-out thing that people want to know. Are we any safer now than we were 30 days ago or at the moment that the president said we're going to start bombing Syria?
Absolutely not. And in fact, one of the problems we're seeing, I was speaking with sources yesterday. I have friends embedded in Syria, and they say things are actually worse. The reason is what we've seen is ISIS morph and evolve into actually a more dangerous fighting force in terms of the United States. Keep in mind, we still haven't had any terrorist attacks against the U.S., thank goodness, but we are seeing this continual evolution, and their emphasis is absolutely looking at the West now and looking at the United States. And look at what happened today. They're taking a Turkish border town. They're not losing.
They're not losing because I think that catches people a lot is we've been talking about this now for months. We always talk about the mutative possibilities of the enemy. Mm-hmm. They certainly understand. They all have television, they all have phones, they all have internet, they can all look and see everything that everybody else in America is seeing. Right. They understand. They can read the news reports. They are able to mutate, to change, just like any good military force is. Why can we not get it through our governmental heads in the military side that no matter what we do, they will get better at their jobs?
And we do know this. You know, look at U.S. history here. We know what happens if we do a half effort. You know, what that does is it's kind of like an antibiotic. It allows them to get stronger and to fight what we're doing. Unless we, and I mean we, not just the United States, the West, this unified coalition that is out there, unless there is a decision to go in full-fledged, and that, yes, does include boots on the ground, we are actually allowing them to adjust and to be stronger. Right now, what we're doing are still airstrikes. There is some boots on the ground. You and I have talked about this in the past. There is military, there is intelligence, but we're not doing enough to push them back. All that does is allow them to change and adapt. It allows them to fight us better.
Lisa, is it possible, though, that we're doing more damage here by going in and doing airstrikes and not having those ground troops as they now change and now get ready and they move and shift, plans change, that we're putting ourselves further behind now than if we would have had a concerted effort on air and on ground?
Absolutely. And the Syrian, the moderates, again, moderates, but one of the comments that they made this week is they are very concerned that what we have done is we're too little, again, too little too late. We're so far behind the curve here that rather than going in, we're putting ourselves at an even bigger disadvantage. We still haven't really laid out what our strategy is. We say we're going to defeat them. What does that mean, really?
You can't defeat them. Isn't that fair to say that every time, and I bristle at this when I hear this, we need to defeat ISIS. You're not going to defeat them. This is a generational war that is going to last next year, 5 years, 10 years, because religion is that sort of a war that never goes away.
Well, sure, and maybe they won't be called ISIS. Maybe they won't be called the Islamic State. But if you look at Al-Qaeda, you look at Boko Haram, you look at the terrorism threat, ISIS will, I'm sure, evolve into something else, and we're probably going to have other leadership. But the question is, can we diminish the threat? I think that's what we have to look to do, the threat both to our allies and to the United States. And so far, I just haven't seen that we've done that.
What is it that we could do now? I got about 40 seconds left. We'll take a break, come back. But I mean, right now, if we were to change anything, other than putting soldiers on the ground at this point, what is it the intelligence people think we need to do?
I can tell you, and again, I had a long conversation with colleagues this weekend. There is no other than boots on the ground. That's the answer, and that's the answer I'm hearing consistently. We have got to mobilize on the ground with really good intelligence, supported by airstrikes.
Do we have that intelligence, though, right now? If we were to put troops on the ground tomorrow, do we have enough intelligence to make a dent?
Not today, we don't. You know, that's the sad answer, is not today we don't. We are ill prepared in that region. black box in Syria. Iraq is not a whole lot better. So no, but we have to, it's that catch-22. We have to get in there in order to have the intelligence to be able to have the military.
Somebody better start taking a lesson from Homeland. They can all watch Showtime on Sunday night and figure out how to do it all. After the break, bad guys against bad guys in the Middle East and how that may change our overall strategy. Later on this hour, the real dirty politics in the midterms. And I mean dirty, as in cold dirty. It's coming up right here on MidPoint.